Ryan Reynolds here for, I guess, my 100th Mint commercial. No, don't. No. I mean, honestly, when I started this, I thought I only have to do like 4 of these. I mean, it's unlimited premium wireless for $15 a month. How are there still people paying 2 or 3 times that much? I'm sorry, I shouldn't be victim blaming here. Give it a try at mintmobile.com/save. Whenever you're ready.
$45 upfront payment equivalent to $15 per month. New customers on first 3-month plan only. Taxes and fees extra. Speed slower above 40 gigabytes. See details.
How would you like a 15% discount to my daily email, the stack of stuff, the show notes, discounts to the conference, all of that? All you need to do is text the word show to 33777. You'll get the annual subscription with a 15% discount to my daily email. You'll get the stack of stuff, the links to the show notes, discounts to the conference, and so much more. All you have to do is text the word show, SHOW, to 33777. Text show to 33777.
Welcome to the Eric Erickson Show podcast, Hour 3.
Welcome. It is Eric Erickson here across the nation. The phone number, 877-973-7425. If you want to be on the program, you want a sense of the trouble Trump caused for himself in Georgia over the weekend. They're not all coming on the show today, but 9 out of 10 phone calls that we have had are from women who are angry that he attacked Brian Kemp's wife. It is distinct and notable. By the way, happening now, a Piper PA-28 airplane has made a crash landing on the practice green at Haggins Oaks Golf Course. Holy cow. The video in Sacramento, California, it's engine failed. The pilot sustained minor injuries, narrowly missed a golfer on the green. The incident was captured on surveillance video. Goodness gracious. That pilot was lucky, as was the golfer. The security camera footage is wild. The plane comes down and flips over and sideways slings down through the practice green. There is a golfer that just narrowly, ran and got out of the way, as this plane comes crashing down, and it comes within a foot of taking the guy's golf bag out. Just remarkable footage. In any event, we got to move on. But keep in mind the number of, in fact, let me get you, here's just one sample. These are the sorts of emails I'm getting. This is from listener Nicole. My husband, daughter, and I all live in Atlanta, not a suburb. We prefer President Trump's policies, and as state licensed builders, we own the company. We're very concerned about everything. I want to express how my husband and I are currently thinking and feeling. I'm hoping that you will continue to drive home the point the best that you can to his campaign team. We've gone from optimistic to worried. We're very concerned that President Trump's mouth will make us lose the election. And as business owners, that would not be good for us. The stupid attack on Governor Kemp was entirely uncalled for. Our governor has done an excellent job in our state. It was very stupid, in all caps, of President Trump to attack him and his wife. We need every vote here. The Dems here are very motivated because Kamala Harris is a black woman. That's just the truth. Do not alienate voters that generally prefer Trump policies. Here are the talking points he needs to stick to. He needs to be able to speak facts about all of these things and stop attacking people who have sound policies. If anything, he should endorse Governor Kemp. Cease regurgitating the same resentments. No one's going to change a vote over 2020 at this point. Focus solely on the abysmal failures of the current administration, the border, crime, human and drug trafficking, the economy, federal spending. Say you're not anti-abortion. Clearly say you're not anti-abortion. I don't know about that one. That'll hurt him with the right. Clean energy. Great idea, but needs infrastructure and better technology. That's listener Nicole writing in. I've been getting these all day. It's probably, and there are dismissive people saying, well, they were never going to vote for him anyway. Actually, I know these people. They're still probably going to vote for him. They're just very angry right now with what he did, and it's a distraction at a time you need maximum unity on the right. Now, in that regard on messaging, I got to say, if I were Donald Trump, I would take MAGA from meaning make America great again to make affordable groceries again, because it's such an important issue, but there's another one. Someone on the Trump team should really read Justice Neil Gorsuch's new book, Overruled: The Human Toll of Too Much Law. He sat down with David French of the New York Times over the weekend writing about it. When this gets to, he makes a point, as does David French, that I have made numerous times on this program. The more complex the law becomes, the greater a subsidy it is for the rich. I want to ask you individually, you who are listening, and I mean you right now, you're sitting in your car, your home, or your office, somewhere you're listening to me right now. Do you have a lobbyist? Do you have a lobbyist in Washington, D.C.? You individually, for your family, do you pay someone, not your member of Congress, you pay someone to go to Washington, D.C. to talk to your member of Congress on your behalf? Do you? I bet none of you do, because you're not Jeff Bezos or Elon Musk or Mark Zuckerberg or any other billionaire. The billionaires individually and for their companies have lobbyists who can go to Washington, D.C. and take care of them. You do not. There are trade groups like the NFIB, National Federation of Independent Businesses, that looks at small businesses. You've got different family groups on the left and the right, but you don't have a lobbyist. As our laws have grown, it's become more complex. As it's become more complex, it's harder for you to be entrepreneurial because of all the laws you've got to comply with. Gorsuch actually talks about Aaron Swartz. Aaron Swartz was a tech guy, and his case was driven home to Neil Gorsuch as a tragedy. Aaron Swartz was an internet entrepreneur. He had a passion for public access to material that he thinks should be in the public domain. He downloaded a bunch of old articles from a research website called JSTOR. If you're in law or medicine or whatever, you're familiar with JSTOR, you can get research articles. His lawyers say it included articles from the 1942 edition of the Journal of Botany. Well, he wasn't supposed to do that. He thought it should be publicly accessible, but it wasn't supposed to be in the terms of service of JSTOR. So he and JSTOR negotiated a solution they were happy with, and when state officials brought criminal charges against him, they dropped him because of the settlement. But federal prosecutors decided to charge him with felonies. So he refused to plea bargain. They offered him 4 to 6 months in prison. He didn't think that was right. He wanted to go to trial. So what did they do? This is Neil Gorsuch's words now. They added a whole bunch of additional charges, which exposed him to decades in federal prison. And faced with that, he lost his money, all of his money, paying for lawyers' fees, as everybody does when they encounter our legal system. And ultimately, he killed himself shortly before trial. And that's part of what our system has become, that when we now have, I believe, if you remember correctly from the book, more people now serving life sentences in our prison system than were serving any prison sentence at all in 1970. And today, one more little item I point out, 1 out of 47 Americans is subject to some form of correctional supervision as of 2020. If you're Elon Musk, you can go to Washington, D.C., you can hire lobbyists, an army of lobbyists who take care of you, and lawyers who take care of you. But if you're listening to me right now, you can't do that. J.D. Vance, I don't want to go off on the toaster thing again, but J.D. Vance made this argument that we need to restore American manufacturing, and our cheap toaster is costing Americans jobs. Actually, the cheap toaster that I'm buying allows me money to pay for my kids to go to school and keep them out of government school. I like my cheap toaster because my cheap toaster frees up my resources to fund other things for my family. If you want to take on solid issues, Gorsuch's new book actually provides a path, the over-criminalization of American federal society. See, if you read the Constitution, it's the states that are supposed to control criminal law, not the federal government. But as the federal government has grown, it has begun criminalizing more and more so that it can pressure you to curb your behaviors. So that, for example, if the state doesn't charge you with a crime, the federal government can charge you with a crime. And in some cases, the state can charge you with a crime and the feds charge you with a crime, and it's perfectly constitutional because it's two separate legal systems. So you can be bullied and badgered by the government into being controlled in ways you don't think you should be. It's like the Aaron Schwartz situation. The state decided because the party injured, the victim, was fine and remedied the situation through a private settlement, the state would not bring charges, but the federal government did. There was no reason for the federal government to insert himself into that situation, and yet the federal government did. And the guy ultimately committed suicide. When you face the federal government, very few of you will be like Donald Trump, where you have a massive legal fund that you can fundraise off of, and then you can pay lawyers to go to court, maybe find a sympathetic judge, and get the charges dropped, or make your way to the Supreme Court. Very few of you can do that. And it's not just that. It's the regulatory environment as well. Forget the old joke about tearing the label off your pillows or the mattress, whatever. Think about all the other regulatory issues in your life. Things you don't even realize. Go back to my situation with my air conditioner, where I'm probably going to have to get a new unit because my unit is old enough that they're not making much of the Freon anymore that it requires. They're now making a new coolant that's actually propane-based that doesn't cool as well because it'll save the environment. Never mind, it's not as good. It's not going to work as well. I'm in this limbo right now of, do I replace the unit or do I keep it? And the air conditioner people are like, they're making less and less Freon. At some point, you're not going to be able to get the Freon and you're going to have to replace. I'm like, well, at least I can save some money before I flip. And it's all not to save you, but to save the planet. The burdens and costs. So you may not realize this, but so there is something called the USC, United States Code. More familiar if you're in law school, USCA, United States Code Annotated, and that just means there are references in the volumes. It used to be for the first 100 years, the entire United States Code was one book. It's now 50 books spread out on a bookshelf, and some of those books are actually multi-volume series for the code. You've got it's divided into categories and topics, and it's just unwieldy. It's a massive compendium. You have now still, I guess, technically 32 chapter. Nah, you got more than that. And it's 54 now. 54 titles. It's absurd. From national parks to voting to national and commercial space programs to war and national defense to railroads to veterans benefits. Each of these titles has their own book or two. And then the bureaucratic agencies have what's called the Code of Federal Regulations. And though the federal code is massive, the Code of Federal Regulations is even more massive. And you got to comply with that stuff if you're a small businessman. It's hard to do. It's great if you're a big business, but if you're a small business, it's not. And part of the problem is the complexity in our legal society and the complexity in our regulations and the complexity in our statutes is a subsidy for wealthy people. At a time, Democrats complain all the time about the wealth gap in this country. The poor are getting poorer, the rich are getting richer. Well, the government itself, because of Democrats and Republicans combined, have made a system so complex. Of course, there's a wealth gap because the poor can no longer get ahead in this country, not because they don't have access to government programs, but because the government's gotten too unwieldy. They have to stay put because if they try to get ahead, the big business that pays the money for the lobbyists comes after them and ruins them. If Republicans really want to commit themselves to the poor, the working class, and the middle class, they need to take on the federal code and the federal code of regulations. They need to deregulate. They need to cut the code. They need to get out the criminal statutes of the federal government. They need to gut the criminal statutes of the federal government. Things that should be criminalized should be done at the state level, not the federal level. I would encourage every single one of you to read Gorsuch's book. I myself, full disclosure, I haven't, but I read several of his interviews, and he's on the point on these interviews. That the fact is that the biggest problem in this country when it comes to elevating the poor out of poverty and elevating the middle class into the upper classes is we have too complex of a federal system that only the wealthy can navigate. And if you want to make the world more equitable and better for the poor, the working class, the middle class, you got to get rid of lots of the federal government because it's gotten too complex for them to be able to navigate. And all you can do is pile them up on the social safety net, take care of them, and try to make them comfortable. And that's absurd. We're a nation of entrepreneurs, and you cannot be an entrepreneur when Uncle Sam can sue you out of your business because you dared to take on a big company. We need to fix that. Republicans, J.D. Vance, this is your issue. Move it forward. AI might be the most important new computer technology ever. It's storming every industry. Everybody's talking about it. Billions of dollars invested, so buckle up. The problem is AI needs a lot of speed and processing power. So how do you compete without costs spiraling out of control? It's time to upgrade to the next generation of the cloud. Oracle Cloud Infrastructure, or OCI. OCI is a single platform for your infrastructure, database, application development, and AI needs. OCI has 4 to 8 times the bandwidth of other clouds, offers one consistent price instead of variable regional pricing, and of course, nobody does data better than Oracle. So now you can train your AI models at twice the speed and less than half the cost of other clouds. If you want to do more and spend less, like Uber, 8x8, Databricks, Mosaic, take a free test drive of OCI at oracle.com/Erickson, ERICKSON. That's oracle.com/Erickson. Oracle.com/Erickson. Go check them out today. Welcome back. It's Eric Erickson here. The phone number 877-973-7425. Glad to have you with me. I do have to say it's kind of funny, some of the criticisms out there of Brian Kemp from the pro-Trump crowd. One, they're being very dismissive of the women who complain, which is part of the problem here. In their bubble, the women don't matter. But also, so some guy just tweeted at me and says they just caught a post office worker in Gwinnett County with guns and drugs in his car, stealing mail, keeping it in his car and in his house, and dumping it in the forest. So excuse me if I don't lose any sleep over this Kemp thing. He may have okay approval, but his leadership isn't perfect. Now, I don't know about y'all, but the last time I checked, governors of states don't have any role to play in the post office. None whatsoever. No role to play in the federal post office. My gosh, our computers are going just completely berserk today. It's gremlins in the machines. In any event, yeah, Kemp plays no role. Sorry. No role at all in the post office. I got to tell you, you get inside your bubble. This is where I'm here. I'm the instead of the breaker of chains, I'm the burster of bubbles. You get inside your bubble and you just tend to forget how the world works outside the bubble. When your reaction to me telling you the number of women who call and complain about what Trump did is to say, well, they shouldn't be voting anyway. They were going to vote for Biden anyway. That's really not a way to find common ground with people. I don't know if you know this or not. But elections are about addition, not subtraction. You add people to your coalition. And in this country, for the last 50 years, since World War II, it's independent voters who've determined who won the presidency. Independent voters, not Republicans, not Democrats. And independent voters tend to be socially liberal, fiscally conservative voters who tend to vote Republican, but they don't always. And lately, they seem to be drifting away from the GOP because of Trump's attacks on, well, people like the wife of the governor of Georgia, as opposed to just the governor and leaving the wife out of it. These things matter. If you want to win, politics isn't hard, y'all. I've run and won plenty of races, including my own election. Politics isn't hard, but managing Donald Trump can be impossible. He's got a good team around him. They just need to keep him focused and away from the crazy people whispering in his ears. Now, I got to tell you guys, Vision Computers, let me talk about your employee productivity right now because, I mean, look at the economy today. You want your employees to be as efficient and productive as possible with their jobs. That means probably not having to take care of their computers. That's where Vision comes in. For $179 a year per computer, they can take on your computer tasks. So your employees can be great at their jobs and Vision can be great at their computers. Any one of you nationwide can sign up for this for your business or even for your home. You got a home computer? They'll build you computers. And if you get a computer from Vision, this comes with it for free. But if you don't have a computer from Vision, you can call them 15 seconds or less. You get the answer to your question. All you do is call them at 404-COMPUTE, 404-COMPUTE, or go to visioncomputers.com. Go to visioncomputers.com or 404-COMPUTE. Tell them I sent you. You get an even better deal. Vision will be your tech support solution. So your employees, instead of trying to figure it out themselves and wasting time, they call Vision. 15 seconds or less. They answer the phone. They give you the answer. They can even remote in if they need to. And your employees can get back to being productive for your company. Visioncomputers.com or 404-COMPUTE. Call them and tell them I sent you. Hello there. Welcome. It is Eric Erickson here across the United States. The phone number 877-973-7425. Y'all, I've been chuckling about this, and I wish I had the fuller clip. I don't, unfortunately, but it's still good. Michael Smirkanish he's a radio show host and I guess Sirius XM, and he's also got a CNN show on the weekend. And he played a clip. The clip is not his. The clip is from a CBS news station in Pennsylvania that goes a white reporter wearing his Michael Jordan T-shirt and a jacket goes to a black barbershop. Now, side note, for those of you who do not know, the greatest conversations you will ever have on planet Earth are in a predominantly black-owned barbershop where nobody holds back. Everybody keeps it real, and the conversations are always frank and honest. It's a lot of fun, except so I would take my son to one, but the profanity sometimes would get out of hand, and I was like, I got to stop taking him to this particular barbershop. But I'm telling you, in the black community, particularly among men, the barbershop is where it is. There's not a coincidence in the number of movies about barbershops, and they feature prominently in so many TV shows related to the black community because it definitely is a thing. So white reporter goes into black barbershop for questions about Kamala Harris's race, and, well, it does not go as the reporter clearly wanted it to go.
Is Kamala going to make you a little more likely or less likely to vote Democrat?
Well, hold on, first, Ray, hold on, Ray. Is Kamala black, yes or no?
I'm going to let her speak on that. But to me, no.
Oh, is Kamala black, yes or no?
I share that same view.
Wow, is Kamala black, yes or no?
I heard she was. I heard she's half black and half Asian.
Yeah, so I don't have the extended clip. I wish I did, but in the extended clip, the white reporter begins lecturing the black men that actually she's black. Now, Smirkanish on CNN comes back in and tries to talk about this, and just listen to the commentary.
When I played that audio on my Sirius XM radio program on Thursday, many callers who self-identified as African-American were quick to tell me that those men were the exception, not the rule. Some described them as low-information voters, no different than you'd find among whites.
Okay. Here's the problem. The exception to the rule are the black people listening to Michael Smirkanish on Sirius XM on a Thursday. Yes, the exception is that. You go to a black barbershop, you're going to have those conversations. And this is kind of the thing that I've been trying to explain to you guys. Donald Trump doesn't need to talk about Kamala Harris and race because those conversations are already happening in the black barbershop, the black beauty shop, in the church. They're already happening. And when white Republicans try to step into those conversations, they all circle the wagons. It's pretty straightforward. They will circle the wagons around Kamala Harris because, in their view, it's their conversation to have. It's not yours and my conversation to have. But the conversation's already happened, and the conversations aren't going the way that Kamala Harris might want. That's just the truth of the matter. It's also very funny. And now Trump is now redefining his attacks on Kamala Harris and going after her on other cultural issues. This is him from Atlanta, the few moments he spent attacking her instead of Brian Kemp.
Harris is a radical trans activist, and she is the candidate of letting men beat up women in the name of tolerance. But you look at what's happening over in Paris, it will never happen here. I will never let it happen. I will get all males off your daughter's soccer teams and volleyball teams and get them out of your locker rooms once and for all. That's going to be cleaned up, and we will fight to make sure that the LA Olympics protects women and protects girls. I will fully uphold the Second Amendment.
Fully uphold the Second Amendment. Kamala Harris is a radical. It's not a bad attack. But also, I think that there are more attacks worth making. This is Tom Cotton on Face the Nation over the weekend.
No, I think we always knew this campaign was going to be a close race. But remember, she's only been the nominee for 2 weeks now. She hasn't answered a single question, not one single question by the media, Ed. She's only had one single unscripted moment Thursday night at Andrews Air Force Base, welcoming those hostages back, and she served up the kind of incomprehensible word salad for which she's become famous. When she has to encounter the media, and I'm sure you're going to insist that she does, she's going to have to answer for things like why she wants to eliminate oil and gas production in this country, why she wants to ban gas-powered cars, why she wants to confiscate private firearms. So we knew this race was going to be close all along, whoever the Democrats wanted to put up against President Trump. But Kamala Harris has only been the nominee for 2 weeks and hasn't answered a single question. When the American people get a better look at her and her radical positions, I think you're going to see that they don't want her to continue the Biden-Harris legacy.
Okay, so Harris, by the way, is a walking word salad, and I don't think anyone can dispute that. And if you don't believe me, this is Kamala Harris trying to explain what the cloud is.
So you're now no longer are you necessarily keeping those private files in some file cabinet that's locked in the basement of the house. It's on your laptop, and it's then therefore up here in this cloud that exists above us. Right? Mm-hmm. It's no longer in a physical place.
We can be unburdened by what has been, I guess. This is going to be ultimately, I think, where this conversation heads is Tom Cotton hinted at it. She's been largely sheltered. She's been sheltered because the Democrats want her in that bubble. They know that when she goes off script, she tends to say these wild things that come off as a little goofy.
And now, Deep Thoughts by Kamala Harris.
With each day, renew our commitment to the urgency of now and the ability that we have collectively, all of us in it together, to do something about it.
That was Deep Thoughts by Kamala Harris.
Yeah, she's just got there's too much out there, too much baggage out there for Kamala Harris to be sheltered. And so the Democrats are going to do their best to shelter her. What Republicans are going to have to do is continue to make the case to expose Kamala Harris in unscripted interviews. And will she do any? She doesn't have to. Look, Joe Biden got elected in large part because he hid in a basement and did nothing. He hid in a basement and refused to do interviews except favorable interviews, things like that. There is a path forward for Kamala Harris using Joe Biden's 2020 playbook, but the Republicans, I think, have caught on enough that they're going to push this issue very, very hard. Now, I have more to say, but unfortunately, I've got to shift. There is some breaking news that's happening right now. 2 explosions have been reported near Al-Assad Air Base in Iraq. That's where American troops are housed. Al Jazeera is reporting that the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps has said Iran-backed militant groups have begun launching rocket attacks at the American base in Iraq. So you have Iranian positions in Iraq and in Iran launching attacks at American positions. President Trump, likewise, today apparently saying that Iran is planning to attack Israel tonight. This has been making he did some sort of interview with some social media streamer and said that he expects there to be an attack on Israel tonight based on what he's been told. We know that he gets intelligence briefings. We don't know if those are from intelligence briefings, but the situation continues to escalate in the Middle East with American military personnel coming under attack in Iraq, and they're already saying the Iranians are taking credit for it. That's happening right now as I'm on air. It is, of course, nighttime over there, and the situation could escalate. The Israeli government has taken to underground bunkers, expecting a massive barrage of missiles from Hezbollah and possibly from Iran. We're going to see what happens. We have moved an aircraft carrier and an aircraft carrier group into position to be able to help Israel. The problem here is that the Biden administration is not really a friend of the Israeli government. They don't like Benjamin Netanyahu. They blamed Benjamin Netanyahu for a lot since October 7th. Everybody seems to forget that Hamas started this. And the situation continues to spiral out of control. Now, here's the practical political problem on this. And I got to say up front, I kind of cringe myself saying, well, we got to talk about the politics of what happens over there. But, I mean, we're in a political season. We've got the stock market is down. Things are not going well. Let's see. The Dow, as of right now, this update, it's down 1,026 points right now. When I started the program, had recovered some, was down 800 points. It's now down 1,026 points. NASDAQ down 641 points. S&P 500 down 167 points. Things are not going well for the stock market today. On top of that, you add in instability in the Middle East that draws the United States into a greater fight. You're going to have real issues. Those issues are going to provide more instability, and that instability is going to benefit Donald Trump, not the party in charge, who is Joe Biden. And Joe Biden chose to brand it as the Biden-Harris administration. And because he chose to brand it the Biden-Harris administration, Kamala Harris gets tied to it more easily. Now, she's always going to be because she's vice president, but typically vice presidents can distance themselves. However, Harris has made a big deal herself out of the fact that she's going into the national security briefing in the Situation Room today. That Situation Room briefing started about 15 minutes ago. It's not a coincidence, about 15 minutes ago. So here's the thing. Let me lay out the timeline for you. The Biden administration announced this morning, Eastern time, that at 2:30 p.m. he would be in the Situation Room meeting with his generals and his national intelligence staff. And at 2:30 p.m., rockets began raining down on American personnel in Iraq. I don't think that's a coincidence. What I think it is a global situation where people see we have a dementia-addled old man as president and progressives taking advantage of it in the White House. And those progressives in the White House do not like Israel. Remember, it's progressives in the White House who have leaked against Israel's national security interest. It's progressives in the White House who leaked in advance to Iran strategies Israel would be taking, leaked them to the press as well. All of this Iran, I think, interprets as to Iran's benefit. Now, Iran is famous for interpreting things wrongly. Like, for example, Iran is warning that if Saudi Arabia, the UAE, Bahrain, and others help Israel, that there will be repercussions. Iran thinks it can launch repercussions against the whole Middle East. That's not actually true. This whole situation destabilizes the Middle East, and that instability comes from weakness in the Biden administration, where we've got a guy the whole world has seen isn't quite competent to make decisions. And who is he surrounded with? The hardest core of the hardcore progressive left who hate Israel. Iran interprets this as a way that they can go after Israel with minimal repercussions from us. And by the way, they can also say, well, we're going to blame the Americans as well. And because the Biden administration doesn't want to rock the boat for Kamala Harris, they can say, whoa, we're going to hold back here. Have at it. Don't bring us into it. We want to win. We'll deal with you after the election. And that just strengthens Iran's hand and makes Israel have to operate more aggressively itself. All of this causes instability with 22-year high interest rates on top of it. You got the situation out there with the banks today, the stock market. Swiss America has been the trusted leader in precious metals for 40 years. They've been warning people about a secret war on cash. If you're interested in safeguarding your hard-earned cash from the secret war, you need their free report, The Secret War on Cash. They're rated A+ by the Better Business Bureau. Swiss America can educate you on protecting your assets in their shocking report, The Secret War on Cash. You can read it in less than 15 minutes. It can save your retirement finances. It is very informative. You probably want to get a copy of it with what's going on out there. Get your free copy, completely free. All you have to do is mention Eric when you call or text 800-289-2646. The All Out War on Cash includes digital forms of currency as well. It's growing daily. Get the report, The Secret War on Cash, completely free. Just mention Eric when you call or text 800-289-2646. 800-289-2646. You can go to SwissAmerica.com/Eric as well, or go to text my name to 800-289-2646. Message and data rates may apply. Hello there. Welcome. It is Eric Erickson here as we continue to watch the markets fall. The Dow still down over 1,000 points. Okay, can we talk about Scotty Scheffler winning the gold medal at the Olympics? That was so. Rory McIlroy, I like Rory McIlroy. Says his two favorite events are the Olympics and the Ryder Cup, because you're playing for love of the game. You're not actually playing for money. You don't win money. Now, Scotty Scheffler, the Americans pay money to their winner. He gets like $38,000. But he wept like a baby when he got up there and they started playing the national anthem. It was just a neat thing to see. And what was so amazing about it, to give you an idea of how good a golfer he is, he was doing terrible on the front nine, and then he got to the back nine and he started birdieing every single hole and he wound up winning. He came from like when he got to, so, you know, in a golf course, there are 18 holes. On the last round, he got to the 10th hole, and the odds of him winning gold were at 0.4%, and he pulled it off. And then there's Noah Lyles. I watched this. So Noah Lyles is the fastest man on earth. He won the gold medal in the 100-meter final. And he was running against Kashane Thompson from Jamaica. It was literally a photo finish. They crossed the line at 9.7 seconds. The rule in the Olympics is the first one whose torso passes, not head. So, in fact, Kashane Thompson's head in the picture is across the finish line further than Noah Lyles. And a lot of people watched it and thought that Thompson must have won. But the rule is torso, and you can clearly see that that Noah Lyles' chest gets across the line sooner than Kashane Thompson, who's straining his neck to lean forward. So he came in number two. In fact, Lyles thought that Kashane Thompson was in first place. He even says, I turned to him and said, I think you got the Olympics, dog. But turns out that Lyles' torso passed the line first, which is the metric used, and he won. It's really been cool. You know, for the first time in 11 years, the Americans have lost the swimming medal, the men's swimming, to China. First time we've lost a gold medal in 11 Olympics. So not 11 years, 11 Olympics. That's a long time. Maybe we can get back in 4 years. But we're ahead in medals now, which is good. We've been tied with the Chinese for this Olympics. Let me do medal count in Olympics so far. We won a bunch this weekend, including Scotty Scheffler. Yep, China is now ahead of us in gold medals by 2. We are ahead overall in total medals. We got 75 to their 52. But, yep, they're picking up. We've got 19 golds, 29 silvers, and 27 bronze for 75 total. They've got 21 gold, 17 silver, 14 bronze for 52. Australia is in third place with 32. We're head and shoulders above everybody in total medals won, which is great. Good for us. We should be in first for gold, though, nonetheless. Good showing in the Olympics. No, I'm not watching. I'm not boycotting the Olympics because of the opening ceremony. I want to see Americans beating China, which is mostly what we've gotten, which has been a great thing. And Scotty Scheffler won the gold medal and cried like a baby during the national anthem, made it worth it. You guys have a great day. I'll talk to you tomorrow.